Mr. President, I seek recognition.
Senator is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Time is of the essence. Time is of the essence, and that's why I rise today once again in calling for the immediate passage of the House-led and passed bipartisan standalone aid package for Israel that will provide our ally with $14 billion in military assistance for their ongoing war with the savage Hamas terrorists. This standalone bill does not use Israel as a lever to fund Ukraine funding or to make our border more porous to terrorists and criminals. I want to start by sharing two stories, the stories of two gentlemen I met last week. I'm going to start with Duran. Duran's brother was the mayor of a kibbutz located within a stone's throw of Gaza. As the mayor, he often welcomed Palestinians from Gaza. He shared meals with them and conversed with them. There was a peace-loving family. But on the morning of October 7th, Duran's brother, the mayor, was brutally murdered by Hamas. But that wasn't enough. Next, his brother's mother-in-law was murdered. Then his son was murdered, and finally, a nephew. In the matter of a few hours, a woman lost her husband, her mother, her son, and her nephew. The other story I want to share is of two brothers, Gal and Guy. Now, Gal was the older brother, Guy was the younger brother. They went to the Peace and Love Music Festival just about 3 miles away from the Gaza Strip. And on the morning of October the 7th, Gal was watching over his brother, Guy, and they heard gunshots and they heard rockets going off. And they both decided to run for their cars. They were split up. And while Gal made it home, Guy never did. Later that same day, his family saw horrifying videos of his brother laying on the ground, handcuffed, and who remains a hostage to this day. And of course, we have no idea if Guy's alive or not. So I ask, why is this important? Why is time of the essence? Listen, Israel is a powder keg and it's about ready to explode. For starters, since we were here last, Hamas leadership has declared its desire for a permanent state of war with Israel on all borders. There continues to be a barrage of missiles, rockets, and drone attacks on Israel that's worsened since the wars broke out, with Hamas firing at Israel nearly 10,000 times. Since October the 7th, 50 attacks have occurred on United States military installation. Some 52 American soldiers have been injured, not to mention that we lost 30-some Americans killed on October the 7th by these monsters called Hamas. So why is time of the essence? Right now, there's still hundreds of innocent people, like Gal's brother Guy, being held captive and most likely being tortured and raped by Hamas terrorists, including 10 Americans. So I stand here today again calling on my Democrat colleagues to do the right thing, and today, yes, today, pass this aid for Israel in their time of need. It's been over 5 weeks since the Hamas Army of Terror launched its savage and brutal assault on our greatest ally in the Middle East. The House sent us a bipartisan solution that has only been met with obstruction by my friends across the aisle in this chamber. And the American public wants to know why the White House and my friends here across the aisle insist upon leveraging this funding in order to fund their other priorities. Is there really anybody across the aisle that objects to Israel receiving funding and to help stop this war against humanity? This delay is providing this aid is not lost on Israel, raising questions about our commitment as an ally. And perhaps equally concerning is the message it sends to Hamas terrorists, emboldening them in their murderous endeavors. In our slow response reinforces the White House message that America has no red line, and they can continue to attack our military without significant recourse. America is not a fair-weathered friend. We must stand unequivocally with Israel, a country that has stood beside us as a staunch ally through thick and thin. We must pass this aid today. Now, when I met with Duran, who lost as you recall, 4 members of his family on October the 7th, he pledged with me to help get one clear message to the American people. Hamas does not use logic. We are not dealing with a civilized nation here. Their evil defies any type of logic. They don't make sense. These people are evil monsters who rape, torture, and kill their enemies. And by the way, every person in this room is one of their enemies. Anyone in America who does not believe in their religious ideas is their enemy, who they pledged to kill. Hamas, Iran, and its proxies have all taken an oath to kill every American. Yet some of my colleagues across the aisle have attempted to delay the delivery of this critical military assistance as they call for negotiations with these terrorists and a ceasefire. I'd ask each one of my friends across the aisle who's holding up this bipartisan funding to sit down with a victim of Hamas's savage attacks. Please invite any one of the 170 family members that are here on Capitol Hill today who have family members currently being held as hostages. Their friends and family members being used as a human shield by this evil terrorist group. I'm asking you to sit down with them and listen to their story. Listen to the stories of how Hamas terrorists tortured, maimed, and massacred the most Jewish people in a single day since the horror of horrors, the Nazi Holocaust. I want to make it sure it's clear today, Hamas evil defies any logic. There's no negotiating with them. There's no terms that they would seriously consider. All they understand are death, horror, and destruction. Let's make this point perfectly clear. Our hesitation to provide bipartisan funding to our staunch ally Israel empowers Hamas and gives Iran and its proxies a green light to kill Americans. Mr. President, I'd like to urge everyone to take this measure and adopt it immediately. And for now, I'd like to yield to the gentleman from Ohio, my friend.